It is Tuesday, December 8th, 2020. I'm Pastor Thor Ramsey with Center Church. This is Gospel for 5. We take 5 minutes out of our day and focus on the gospel because Jesus is the gospel. He is our salvation. And we've been going through the book of Galatians. We're going to pick up here. Let me just read you verses 27, 28, 29, and we'll move into chapter 4. This is out of chapter 3, verses 27 through 29. For as many of you as were baptized into Christ have put on Christ. Again, we went over last week. He's talking here about regeneration, about being born again. He's not talking here about physical baptism. There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither slave nor free. There is no male and female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. So he's saying that's where we find our identity. Our primary identity is in Christ. Our primary unity is in Christ. That's not to say these other things don't exist. To say that there are no longer roles for men and women, right? It doesn't say men and women don't exist anymore. It says in terms of ethnicity. Your ethnicity is not your primary way of identifying yourself. It's not the thing you find your identity in. It's not that you don't have an ethnicity and that you just throw your cultural heritage out the window. It's saying when it comes to being a Christian, your main source of identifying with others who are Christian is that you're in Christ. Again, slave or free in terms of station in life. This is, we could really say, a class system. We can say we're a classless society, but in what sense? I mean, when we say we're a classless society, it means you can start at the bottom and you can become part of the elites, but there are elites. There are elites in America. Look at politics. It's full of elites and elite thinking, elitism. But the point is, when a person's a Christian, whether they're a gravedigger or a member of the elites, their main identity is in Christ, or it should be. That's the point of all that. It doesn't say these other things no longer exist. Are there still men and women? There is, it says there is no male and female. Is the Bible saying that, it is gender neutral? There is no gender distinction. The Bible certainly doesn't argue that when you read the rest of it. So it's saying that the main way we find our unity, even as men and women, is in Christ. That's the primary way we find unity. Now, it's not to say there aren't roles and distinctions. There certainly are, and they're God-given. All right. And if you are Christ, then you are Abraham's offspring, heirs according to promise. And there's our identifier too. Our main identifier is not ethnically, right? So whether a person is Jewish or Gentile, their unity comes from being in Christ. That's what makes them offspring or children of Abraham. Not their ethnic Jewishness, but their faith in Christ. The Messianic Jew who has faith in Christ becomes united to the non-Jew, the Gentile who has faith in Christ. How? By the Spirit, by being united. Abraham's offspring, heirs according to promise. So that's a big deal, New Testament wise. Beginning chapter 4, I mean that the heir, someone who's going to inherit, right, from the family, as long as he is a child, is no different from a slave. Why is that? Well, he's under guardians. He's under tutorship. He can't just boss people around. He's a child. It's no different from a slave, though he is owner of everything. Right? One day, everything around him will be his. Everything he sees is, it's already his. One day he'll be in charge of it. But he's under guardians and managers until the date set by his father. In the same way, so Paul's giving us a natural example for a spiritual truth here. In the same way, we also, when we were children, were enslaved to the elementary principles of the world. But when the fullness of time had come, God sent forth his Son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those who were under the law, so that we might receive adoption as sons. We don't have time to unpack this today, so we'll return to this on Wednesday. But right now, what is